evening. Welcome to Investigator News. I'm your host, Ellie. If you haven't watched us before, welcome. This is a show where you're going to hear news you don't normally hear on mainstream media. We're a little controversial, but we are conservatives. Uh, yeah, I can't say we're big Trump supporters. We do support Trump and his ideas, but we support the GOP and conservatives and the plan to get us out of this horrible nightmare that the Democrats have put us into. Hello, Judith, you made it. So, first off, boy, we had Russia, day two, another attack on Kyiv. Um, it's a city on the edge today after Moscow pounded targets with Russia hit Ukrainian cities with over 80 missiles this time, leaving at least 19 people dead and over 100 injured. As Tuesday morning rush hour was beginning in Kyiv, the air raid sirens sounded again. Commuters on their way to work took shelter in metro stations in city of Zafar Asaya and also hit by 12 C-300 rockets and live region in the western Ukraine. They witnessed fresh strikes today targeting energy facilities, according to the governor, and explosions at two energy sites in the live region. President Vladimir Putin has framed the attacks as a retaliation for the bombing of the Kerch Bridge, and which links Russia to the annexed Crimea. And the bridge, I hear, is basically mended back together again, or they're trying to. Moscow also accuses the West of escalating the conflict by supporting Ukraine. And later, Ukrainian President Zelensky will meet with the G7 leaders on a viral call and urge an urgent supply of weapons and more funding. And um, not only that, but the G7 leaders will discuss what more they can do to support Ukraine and the Biden administration that has promised to provide air defense and also what the President Zelensky is currently treating as his number one priority military needs. So, what I got from this, folks, was they're going to discuss Zelensky and the United States. This isn't the United States war. Are they starting to push this idea? The G7 is a very big summit, and for them to discuss Zelensky and the United States war, it makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder what's going on with these leaders and what's being spoken about behind closed doors. Um, did you see? Boy, now that we're talking about the strikes, I might have to get into the other stuff that I found out from reporters over there. There is a video out that shows close-ups because it was filmed of maybe a possible two missiles hitting that bridge. There was two explosions, definitely. And then, and as I'll kind of tell you why there's two explosions. It's a stamp that Ukraine put out, disgusting, that shows two explosions. And they're happy. They say, you know what? It was cloudy over in Crimea. Well, when the bridge got blown up, it was sunny over here, but cloudy over there. And this came from Zelensky rubbing it in, and they were celebrating that this bridge got blown up. War is not fun, folks, and there's no reason to celebrate anything like that. There was, I think, 11 people killed on that bridge, and they're celebrating. So maybe I will get to what is currently going on. Now, the one thing is we have Russia. There is a visit from Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. Um, and aims to help reach effective political solutions to Ukraine's crisis, adding that the goal six positive results for military de escalation. So, and also to talk about the United States and this OPEC issue. So, and because Russia is a big part of OPEC, uh, the Saudi sheikh is meeting with those that give the most. So now today, what's unfolding um, is basically hell unleashed on Kyiv. And what Russia said, or Putin said, was this is a response to the bridge being blown up. So the first strike was direct message to Ukraine government after the explosion. And the destruction of the Crimea Bridge, he feels, was a direct attack on the SBU, the security forces of Ukraine, basically like hitting the headquarters of the CIA. This is what they did in retaliation. Now, what I want to tell you folks, everything that Russia hit was a military um, like the CIA headquarters. He hit infrastructures. He hit government buildings. Now, this doesn't come from Putin. This information comes from Ukraine and Ukraine news. Ukraine government officials said this, and so did the news. Now, how it got over here and got all twisted around. Oh, they're doing hospitals and schools. According to what the news over there is saying and the government officials are saying, that didn't happen. They hit a bunker. Um, and even CNN was over there, and they said they went and took a look at the bunker. They took the press over to show them that it was these different infrastructures or military or governmental structures or infrastructures that they were hitting. Now, and then of course, CNN afterwards and Time Magazine, Vogue, they all got to go to the private bunker of Zelensky. What was, they did their little interviews with him and what he had to say. And it was basically a weather report. I don't know why. These were all government infrastructure buildings, security services of Ukraine. One, the central part of Kyiv, the building that was destroyed, um, it was basically showing it blown up. It was one that was on TV. They say it went through Moldovan, and the government basically verified, and they seen it hit a government building. And of course, it went flying over Moldovan airspace to central Kyiv. And so the other thing is they struck the power structures, the power plant. Um, they took out certain infrastructures like uh, the phone, the internet. They took out the power grid. And then, of course, the water. But the thing with the water, folks, is Ukraine did the water. They have bombed the over in Donetsk. They took the water supply out. They've been on bottled water and uh, um, um, gallons of water, had to bring water in due to the fact that Ukraine blew up the water system in Donetsk, not Donbass, Donetsk. So um, now the other thing that happened is after Zelensky made a statement about the weather, which he don't do weather reports. Within 60 minutes, downtown in Kyiv, they threw back like a curtain thing and opened it up, and lo and behold, it's a stamp. And guess what? You can go. All the Ukrainians can go have their little selfies done with it. It's a wall, and it's a postage stamp of this bridge they just blown up. They're taking They said they did it, and it shows two explosions on either side of the stamp. It's the postage stamp. And so you can go and you can like put your hand up and looks like you got a fireball. Disgusting. I don't think they should have done this in a celebration of blowing up the bridge. It's their bridge though. I don't understand that. They blew up a bridge that they're if they're going to take Crimea, they're going to need that bridge. But they're looking at infrastructures, and just like I said about what Russia is doing, and it's verified. So when you hear the evening news or you run off to watch ABC, even Fox, he's blowed up. Uh, they're showing pictures of a playground, and I think that playground is from March. Um, Good evening, Miss Karen. Karen's our moderator. If you have a question or a comment and I miss it, let her know. Definitely. Um, so they made this postage stamp, which I think is disgusting. And so this is, I mean, if they're so forlorn about the strikes, why are they doing selfies with a bridge being blown up on a mural, a wall mural? Uh, and that's kind of what they're doing, and um, I'm trying to see if there's anything else in here. Um, and then today they hit with 80. Um, I didn't think Putin was going to move on to a strike today, but he did. And of course, he hit 80 different. Let's see if I can get this. Um, all right. It gives you kind of an idea. So this is today and yesterday. And I can't do the sound, but it'll kind of give you guys a little idea of what they're all going through. Um, those are broken windows from the sound wave of the explosion. Um, and you could see the debris hitting the window, the windshield of this car. You could even hear it. Very scary. Um, So this is through WION. They've got some of the best footage of, and you can see the car shake. And I mean, wow. Um, and now get this, there was air raids according to um, what Kiev said. They did sound the air raids. So these people are hearing air raids as these missiles are landing. So I don't understand why they even got in their cars and went down the street that day. It beats me. I don't know. I have not been through war, so I couldn't tell you. Um, so hello, Miss Linda from Illinois. Uh, and hello over there in Facebook. I know you guys watch. You guys watch and don't say nothing. But that's okay. So what is Putin's response to this? He basically said and here's the warning. And you guys, I like how the news have put his face on there and talking and didn't translate what he said because that makes a big difference. I mean, yeah, I'm going to come over and bomb you to I am defending my country. You have blown up one of my infrastructures. You're going after Crimea and also these um, cities that are Russian uh, residents. So it's not that he's doing the one with the two, Russian and Ukrainians. He's protecting the ones that are all Russian cities. Well, they're firing upon these cities, and he said, if you do, I'm going to strike, and I'm going to strike fierce. He hit the bridge. They hit a few. Not only this, but they hit a few infrastructures, folks. It wasn't just the bridge. They hit, um, I think, a military base and part of their railroad system. And then he decided to strike. So this isn't, we're going to bomb for no reason. He said he's going to defend Russia. And he has every right to. I don't care if it's Yemen, or if it's Iran. If we're going to send missiles, we're going to expect to get them back. Same way with Israel. Israel, when they fire at the Palestinians, if the Palestinians fire missiles into Israel, Israel fires back, and everybody's like, "Yeah, there you go." But for some reason, when it happens with Ukraine, they're not. I'm not being soft on Putin. Don't worry, folks. I'm just saying that he said he was going to do this. He said, if you strike, I'm going to strike back. If the wind blows over here and it blows a missile, I'm going to send one back. So the thing is what's NATO going to do now? What is NATO and Zelensky going to do now that the second round, this was 80 this time. I think it was 15 yesterday, 80. Um, so William says that Russia seized Crimea. Well, yeah, yeah. I guess that's something me and you have talked about on the phone. Now, how I remember it, William, is that the Russians fled to Crimea, the people, to get away from the corruption that was going on in Mariupol, I believe that's where it was, in Kiev. See, and this started, like I've been telling everybody, in 2008. Well, they didn't start running to Crimea until 2013. And then it really got bad in 2016. And then once they all went over there, then the Ukrainian Azov battalion was going to go over and make them come back. And they were going to basically kill these people. Um, so, um, yeah, and then Russia moved in and seized Crimea to protect the Russians. So yeah, he did take that, and it was considered. I don't think Crimea was really part of Ukraine per se, but that maybe that's something we could discuss tomorrow night, William, with the World War III report. Because I don't want to get into the history of Ukraine and how corrupt they were. They were corrupt up to 2018, um, when they asked Trump to. Um, it, Zelensky asked Trump to help him with the corruption of the country at that time, and so Trump did help, and he had one corruption um, unit together, and then Trump helped him do two more. They ended up having to need four corruption units for the country of Ukraine. And then when Trump got out of office, they were still were going to look to Biden for ending the corruption in 20 and 21. So now, as far as I knew, there was corruption all the way. I mean, total corruption for that country until 2021. So then all of a sudden, now they're not corrupt. See, that's what confuses me, because I looked deep into what was going on from 2013 on. So, yeah, but yeah, Russia wanted all the Black Sea ports to himself. That's why he told Zelensky he didn't want to have him join with NATO, because then he wouldn't have got the ports. I mean, Putin is greedy. I mean, if he can have two seaports instead of what he doesn't have, heck yeah, he's going to go in there and take it. He's like any other mean president. I mean, Jinping would do the same if he had the chance. Just like Jinping is trying to control the Taiwan Straits. It's not a good idea. And it's not a good idea for Putin to do this either, because Ukraine has a lot of farming and exports that need to go to those ports, and then out over to different countries. What we're looking at, wheat and some of the staples that we need for food. I think wheat and grains. Um, and not only that, but they have to look at that main gas line that goes right through the country. So this is all. This is where I agree with Donald Trump. You know what? Why don't they just sit down and negotiate this out? Quit. And I have to say, Russia's been asking for this from the very beginning, and it almost got done. And it seems like NATO could be blocking Zelensky from going into negotiations. I mean, this can be split. It could be fair. It could be, give and take. We don't need 80 missiles being dropped in Kyiv like he just did. That's just wrong. I know there is not 80 infrastructure things in Kyiv for him to strike. So it's going to be a lot of other things. And I'm going to definitely look into it so I can let you guys know, because yesterday it was all infrastructure and government buildings. One of the ones he hid was ones that had um, 4 or 5 dozen soldiers from the UK, the US, Canada, and I think France. And they took pictures, and they were like, "Oh, look, look, they're we've got boots on the ground." No, 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 no. And William, you'll agree with me on this. If you look at the picture, and maybe I might have to send it to you, and we'll show it tomorrow. This looks like the hired contractors. Now, folks, if you don't know about it, let's like go back to Libya, where we seen all those guys on the rooftop or was protecting the consulate. And what it was is those were Black Rock um, uh, contractors, and they're um, like Marines and hardcore military guys that join that, and they go and they protect or they fight in other countries and other wars. And that's what these guys look like. They weren't wearing the uniforms of their countries. They were all in fatigues with the patches of where they were from or who they were supporting. So to me, this was what they hit was barracks of a bunch of contractors, mercenaries. Yes, that's another name for them is mercenaries. Um, Let me see, right there, mercenaries are everywhere. There's a mercenary, so we send those in to fight, and a lot of people don't understand that because that's how we find out how serious it is. Now, you guys want to know about Colonel Flynn now. Now, he was with a batch of these guys, and this was in Iraq, and he had noticed some things that he didn't quite agree with. And so this is where Comey and Obama and them, because of his differing with what he was commanded to do, he didn't want to do. And I still don't know the whole story. Um, but he wanted to pull his units out, but he wanted to pull them out, and they let him pull out. But then there was something that was going on over there that him and Obama and our generals didn't agree with. General Flynn, I'm sorry, thank you, not Colonel Flynn, General Flynn. Thank you, William. So um, this is where he was with mercenaries, and he was with some of these contractor guys. So, and I think that's why they're going after him so hard. And I don't really want to get stuck on Ukraine all the whole show. Um, but there's a lot to it that's going on, and I know between me and William, I'm gonna send him a lot of videos and have him kind of look at things. I'm gonna have him look at that picture that I seen and have him, we'll discuss this tomorrow. And I really encourage our viewers to jump in tomorrow night and give your opinions on this, what you think is going on with this war now. And I want to remind everyone that um, when, according to, I guess, war policy, with, and I think I said this yesterday, with Russia being a country, national country, and Ukraine only being smaller and not doesn't have the status, I guess, of being a full country. I'm not sure how this works. And I tried looked it up. I've heard it, but maybe even William can help me explain this tomorrow night, to where he cannot go call war on Ukraine unless it's part of an ally or a bigger country to sponsor or back them up. Well, or they have to defend themselves from another nation or country. Um, Yeah, we keep the note of comments to answer questions. There you go. Thank you. So this is so now he hasn't really declared war. I think he's close to it to go ahead and declare war. And if that's the case, then he gets to use the full volume of his military. Right now, he's kind of stunted. He can only do what the war. It's a war policy allows. I think it's a UN treaty that's been signed. I believe that's where I'm looking. It should be looking. Where's Mary? I could have Mary look it up for me, and William. So that's pretty much we have to think about this when it comes to war. There's a lot of things that go with it and behind the scenes than there is just throwing missiles back and forth and blowing each other up. Okay, so onward to California of their train to nowhere. I mean, I kind of remember this right before I left, and the train to nowhere. Well, I hate to be the bad news, um, but Californians they signed on for $113 billion flub. I think they have another cool name for it. Let me see. Um, where's my cursor? Um, a boondoggy. They called it the boondoggy of a bullet train. And so this, they got pretty far. I mean, they got a mile, I think here. I'll show you guys. I think they got about a mile right there, and that costed Californians taxes of $113 billion. Uh, I think they need a refund because I don't know. So I thought I remembered this being talked about before we left. Well, it was supposed to be completed in 2020. Now they signed on for this initiative in 2008 to build this bullet train, and the track was to run from Los Angeles to San Francisco. And at that time, the project only costed $33 billion, and it was anticipated that um, uh, it would be built within at least 10 years. Well, they got into a couple years of it and maybe a mile of track. It said, no, it's now going to be 113 billion. So it was a dysfunctional. Experts say the building bullet trains um, were basically brought in and were a failure. This is something that Nancy Pelosi pushed, uh, even back to 2008 to 2011. Now, there was one that was, I think, in Morocco, I think. I could be wrong. Um, and they were building that train, the same people. And when they got done, they said they're not going to return to California. They said that's too much of a waste and indecision with California, and they would need probably more billions of dollars to even get the track even further. So, what happened to that money? I mean, a mile of that bridge doesn't go very far. It didn't make it but a couple miles. $113 billion, and guess what? They're still paying for it. And the guys that built it, they said, "Sayonara, we're on to Morocco, and we're not coming back." Uh, so yeah, they got duped. They did. California definitely got duped. All right, the major rail union rejects the deal that was brokered by Biden. Here we go, another rail thing. Um, they have basically decided that he is full of it. He lied to them. Um, a brief statement said the country's freight railroads and national collective bargaining negotiations was disappointing. They felt lied to. They are now rejecting the agreement that sets a motion of a status quo in a period in which the union will resume negotiations with large freight carriers. And so the Associated Press um, reported that the union will delay any strike 5 days until Congress reconvenes in mid November. That's not 5 days, though, folks, to allow additional times for negotiations. The unions don't want to give the Democrats any more midterm headaches, but they said at the same time, uh, 2 decades ago, they were supposed to spend around 80% of their revenues on running trains and covering operation expenses. And they're basically, we're looking at uh, instead of 20%, they're saying that operating ratio cost is more like 60%. And so what they need is $196 billion uh, that they have spent already in stocks, dividends, and buybacks for shareholders. And these financial goals, basically, the railroads market is falling apart, and now they're going to need more money. So what it basically is told me is like what I was telling you guys yesterday with the HUD thing. Um, is they give these guys let's say 100 billion dollars, and what they do is they look into it and they plan and plot and they make little agreements, and then say, okay, well, we're going to look at the root cause of it. And nothing ever happens for the railroad. Anything good ever comes out of it. Nothing ever gets money put into it. They just pay themselves and then pay off managers and supervisors and give everybody a raise, and then they go on. And then they're like, we still need infrastructure money. We still got to upgrade the trains. We still got to fix the tracks. And that's a lot of what's going on. Same way with coal. When the coal plants kept asking for funding, federal funding to be able, because they wanted clean coal. Well, they're very dirty, and they were pouring some of the coal products into the waters. So of course we don't want that. So even the coal industry was looking for clean coal. Well, now we're starting to see everything that was promised uh, uh, is now they're falling out on. It was an empty promise. And folks, I had a gentleman come to my door, and he wants me to vote for him. He's a representative, and I'm not going to say what his name is. But the one thing I told him, I said, you know what? And he wants to sit down and let me do an interview. And I said, you know what? I don't want to do it now because you're making a lot of promises, and how do I know you're going to keep these? I'm not until the November is over, and if you get that seat, then we'll see if you can keep the promises. I said, because Eric Adams, he made a lot of promises, and he's not keeping them. And I said, and so does a lot of politicians. And I said, so you know what? After November, and if you're in that seat that you want, then I'll have a talk with you, and we'll see if you keep your promises. Because that's what's on the table right now for November is being able to keep the promises that they make. If they don't, then we know they're no better than what we've had with some of the GOP. Not all of these guys are good, folks. Let's cut uh, Democrats out of it. Let's look at our own GOP. They have made a lot of promises they have not kept, and that's what we have to look at. Oh, we're going to go get Comey. Well, they never did. What about the Russia, Russia, Russia? Oh, they never did. They made a lot of promises on the news, on Fox News, that, oh, we're going to go get them. Senator Graham is big time for broken promises. If you don't keep him, we don't need to keep him. What we need is patriots to put in office that are going to be strong, and they're going to put this country back together again. Humpty Dumpty did fall, and now we have to put Humpty back, and our country's a wreck, and it's going to take more than 4 years, and we're going to need these politicians that are lifelongers that want to stay in lifelong to jump in there and fix what is broken and what the Democrats have done. So, all right, I'm not going to ramble. Uh, um, Now we got the Supreme Court could raise the cost of bacon. No, leave the cows alone. Leave the little piggies alone. Um, so they're taking up the challenge to California's Proposition 12, which sets animal welfare standards to two industry groups. And what it is the farmers and um, set rules for the farmers in the Midwest and North Carolina and regulate the pork industry nationwide. If that's the case, then regulations will be another office opening with probably a half a dozen more people in there to sit and think about how they're going to charge us for pork. No. Among other things, this means the breeding pigs must have at least 24 square feet of living space, which is roughly the size of uh, two bath towels, which ain't much. And they say they're going to start making sure that these piggies are kept clean and free of uh, filth. So many times we've had the feds go into some of these pig farms and they have been disgusting. Same with chicken farmers. We have a lot of chicken farmers here, with Tyson and think Smith's. I can't quite. I think it's Smith's Poultry. It's not Purdue. It's another off label. And we have a lot of chicken plants here. And if you don't keep them clean, those animals get sick and they don't care. They slaughter them up and they send them out. And then you have bacon of pig of what? Is it a pig of sickness? Is it just a pig of filth that we could possibly get salmonella off? Uh, Tyson's really good about keeping their chicken places really clean. But that's not always the case. There are a lot of chicken farmers that will sell their chickens on market, and by the hundreds. And these big corporations will buy into it. Same way with the pigs. So they basically want to confine. They don't want them confined. They don't want them in a cruel manner. They want breeding pigs must have at least a good footage and not crammed in with five pigs on top of each other. Um, yeah, they're put. Yeah, but it's ugly. It's ugly. The pig industry is very messy, very ugly, and very nasty. I wouldn't want to go. I wouldn't want to go do that. So um, now the Democrats move swiftly to end arms with Saudis. This is a retaliation to them cutting the gas, cutting oil output. So what they're going to do is they're going to swiftly end U.S. arms to Saudi as a sanction or as retaliation. Now, it wasn't but 24 hours after this happened, the sanction, that Saudi, the sheikh, wanted to talk to Russia. So, one thing sparked another. It's like the domino effect. We cut back on them. Saudi said, "Nyeh," and they're going to go talk to Russia. Uh, so I don't know. This was the Democrats that did this one, and I believe it was voted on. And it's all about this OPEC cutting oil input. And um, this was the most recent to join the effort was New Jersey. Bob Mendez, the chairman of Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and he's urging uh, fellow party members and a president to immediately freeze all aspects of U.S. cooperation uh, with the Kingdom of Saudi. And they say one of the 13 original members of OPEC, which last week announced a production cut, and the group's leading crude oil producer. So it's formally titled the Organization of Petroleum Export to Countries, and including Russia. They will not, they're not going to give any green lights. They said that this is something that Saudi, as an ally, should be working with us so we won't have to go to Venezuela. So why are we going to Venezuela? All Biden has to do is turn around and hit Texas. I mean, if he wants that little bit, what's wrong with a little bit from us? I mean, why go down and get really dirty, nasty crude oil from Venezuela? Or if they don't, then it's Iran. So is it Venezuela or Iran? Or why can't Biden just, you know what, turn around and say Texas? I've been not too good on this, but we're going to need this. And I bet those people in Texas that are pumping that oil out of the ground would be more than happy to let them have it. But I don't know. I don't know why him and the Democrats will not bend for just that little bit, just those extra oil, barrels. But they won't. Okay. Gabbard announces that she's leaving the Democrat Party. I knew she was going to do this. She says she is uh, fed up by the elitist cabal and maybe a coup that could be happening. And she said that she is basically she's basically in Hawaii, and she is a military veteran. And so she announced on Twitter, of all places, that um, she's talking about her reasons of leaving the party. I can no longer remain in today's Democrat Party that is now under complete control of a cabal of warmongers, cowardly people who divide us racially and want to stoke anti-white racism. Uh, her departure to me isn't really a surprise. I was kind of expecting this to happen. So Gabbard is now going to become a Republican. Good choice for her. We need this. We need this. Um, Pro hacking groups claim responsibility for hacks on U.S. airport websites. Um, it's been proven now that they did hack some of the airports. Ain't good. This ain't good, you know. Um, Not only that, but they did the same thing with Ukraine. But they're claiming responsibility for the attacks on major U.S. airport websites. Uh, the pro Russian hacking group KillNet is claimed responsibility for bringing down websites of several U.S. airports, making it difficult or even impossible for travelers to access the sites and get updates or even get flights. So it's not like they were crashing planes, they didn't do that. Um, they said the website servers with phony requests. Some could have even lost money to these guys that paid with a credit card. Killnet is listed as the largest, um, uh, and they target websites. And they did this on Sunday. And they have also, the group previously targeted sites from countries that support Ukraine, such as Italy and Romania. Now, Killnet also targeted the state government websites in the U.S., including those in Colorado, Kentucky, and Mississippi. So, Killnet is something to be reckoned with. They say they can disrupt every airport across the United States and other countries. So, boy, it's some good news today. I'm not hearing this on TV at all, these other ones. Um, um, oh, Bear Week. I know if I've told you guys a few about the fat bear thing. And I put a video up on YouTube and I put one up on Facebook. Well, guess what? There's a big scandal going on. Well, Fat Bear Week was rocked by Fat Scandal. And over the weekend, the organizers uncovering a scam that was meant to skew the results of the semifinals and scramble up the champions. So they said they're going to crown the bear today, but I haven't seen nothing out there. and they're very just disappointed because who would want to get in there and cheat for a fat bear? These are just pictures. These are bears that are out in the wild. Um, and that someone had to jump in and just really ruin a good thing that Alaska had going for fat bear. And it was something to get people into protecting the wild grizzly bears. This wasn't about some a beauty fat bear that's in a zoo somewhere. This is very, very disturbing. And they're uncovering a spam attack. Um, and they're saying that it was maybe polling organizers, um, the possible signs of tampering. It sounds like what we just went through. So anyway, Fat Bear, they said they're going to straighten it out, and maybe we'll have a Fat Bear winner sometime this week. Boy, people just got to mess with everything. Why couldn't they just leave the Fat Bears alone? And why can't we just enjoy the grizzly bears? All right, so Fat Bear Week has been infiltrated by scammers of all things. Come on, leave the bears alone. Um, uh, um, Now, New Zealand, boy, this is something. I mentioned this on the show earlier. New Zealand is very angry. And not only that, but it's something that I think that's being pushed by the World Economic Forum. And what they have to do is anger their own farmers, New Zealand farmers, by proposing a tax on cow burps. Oh boy, just when we thought they were done being strange. The government on Tuesday proposed taxing the greenhouse gases that farm animals make from burping or farting. And the plan is to tackle climate change. So the farm would be charged for how many animals they have, and basically charging them so we can have climate friendly products. But the farmers quickly condemned this. Um, so if they pay the tax, does that mean they no longer burp? I'm trying to figure. I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm just stating a point how stupid this is. So they're going to pay a tax for their farm animals that burp, and they're going to pay the tax, and then of course the climate is saved. Is how this is how they put it. I kid you not, folks. And I'm like, does taxing the farmers make the cows quit burping? No. Um, Yeah, I agree with you. Why don't we just start taxing everybody for going to the bathroom or burping? What about when we drink soda and we burp? Are we going to get taxed for that eventually? I don't think so because we're not we're not burping gases. That's the whole thing. So the farmers have been trying to work with the government for more than 2 years on this. And so now this is the plan. Uh, they said they're going to probably have to get rid of cows. So hooray for the green people. And they said this would decrease food production, but it would decrease the amount of cows. So they want to really keep farmers farming. Uh, but he said it would be selling some of their farms um, because of just if they're all they're doing is raising cattle, the tax would be so great that they would just have to sell their farms and get rid of their cows. And they said, but this does help the planet. Um, and so, like, I think these are a bunch of um, uh, dumb people that tend to think that if we get rid of all the cows, that the methane gas is just going to go away. I think they're going to come after us next for burping. Uh, this is this has got to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard of proposing taxing cow burps and other farm animals that burp. What uh, What do dogs and cat put out when they burp or fart? This is just, uh, folks, this is just crazy. Oh my goodness, this is just crazy. I don't even want to go. I'm gonna move. Uh, oh boy. I'm just going to get angry over cowbirds, is what I'm going to end up doing. And I'm going to be upset all night going, why the cows? Yeah, I'm going to drive my family crazy with cowbirds tonight. So let's get on to something a lot more important. Like South Korea says it has the ability to intercept the missiles that North Korea is putting out. They said South Korea's military said Tuesday it's capable of detecting and intercepting the variety of missiles North Korea launched in a barrage of recent nuclear um, shoots. Um, though it maintains the North advancing nuclear program, it poses a grave security threat. Um, North Korea said Monday its 2 weeks of firing drills involved nuclear capable ballistic missiles, warplanes, and other assets. But according to South Korea, they can go ahead and they will be able to um, uh, uh, stop the ones that aren't the nuclear, just the regular missiles, and they want to be set up for it, but they would like some military help to do this with the equipment, which is probably an Iron Dome, uh, of purchasing these and have the United States, but they mainly want Indonesia to come together and pay for it. That one of them should have this. And I think it's good. I think it's good for defense for Indonesia. Um, Now, the U.S. Army plans two more hypersonic missiles ahead of basically putting them ready to go, they say. Um, um, they say they want to test the hypersonic missile before fielding it to the first unit by the end of this year. And the service delivered the first batteries worth of ground equipment of Dark Eagle, they say, a hypersonic weapons capability just over a year ago. They started this. And it went to the 1st Corps, 5th Battalion, 3rd Field Army Regiment, and the 17th Field Artillery Brigade at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington State. Up around you, William. The Army is on track to deliver the actual hypersonic missiles by the end of this year. And Lieutenant General Rosh, who runs the Service Rapid Capabilities and Critical Technologies Office, told the Defense that when they had an interview with them, that Martin and the weapons system integrator for hypersonic capability, which will launch from a mobile truck. And now the service, which is co developing hypersonic weapons with the Navy, and it is ready for the upcoming flight test. And Rosh said he would not disclose the timing of the test or citing security reasons, but the initial one will mark the first time the Army and Navy will shoot a full missile using ground support equipment. And the Army and the Navy are glad to be doing this together. So it was basically the Army, but then the Navy got involved. So um, good idea. I know they had shot one on practice, and so now they've got the others, and they want to make a few more. Um, they want to fire a few more to make sure they don't need any adjustments, and then it'll go to these bases to where they're going to be fired from trucks. So this is ones that need to be fired from a truck. All right, so um, Lukashenko orders troops to join um, uh, uh, Russia on the Ukraine border buildup. Now, Lukashenko is from Belarus, I believe, and he wants to move towards formally joining Putin's war in Ukraine. He announced it today. potential to move forward formally joining the war in Ukraine. The Belarusian president, Alexander Lukashenko, said on Monday and yesterday that he has ordered troops to join Russian forces in a deployment near the border of Ukraine. Uh, and this is from Minsk on Monday. Belarusian Alexander Lukashenko announced that he would be sending troops to the northern border of Ukraine in a joint deployment with Russian military. And he has met with Putin in St. Petersburg uh, Friday and then over the weekend, where they have made these arrangements. And the decisions is believed to have been prompted by the attack on the Kerch Strait Bridge, and it connects Russian mainland to Crimean Peninsula. And now a lot more. Lukashenko said that now that this has happened, and the more that they're starting to see a buildup of NATO forces with Ukraine, that maybe it's time that some of them that have great support for Russia and Putin step forward and go ahead and join in on an ally. So, wow, that's kind of surprised me, but it don't. Um, 30 migrant children were found with two adults in the Arizona desert near the border. These two adults were came back with criminal backgrounds. They couldn't tell authorities why they had these 30 children, but they were seemed to be from um, the migrant center um, in Arizona, and they apprehended um, these children and got them to safety. And only two were adults in the mix. The rest were children, they say. And the criminal organization that exploit migrants for profit. And so they had no regard. They had them stuffed in the back of a hot trailer. I was surprised they didn't end up dead. Um, and the other thing, um, they apprehended 82 migrants. Agent reported on a group of Cuban nationals ranging from uh, 72 years to or 2 to 72. And it had also just a few men with all these children. And they won't answer the question. So they have been able to take the children, 82, and these others, uh, 30, into back to safety. And they said this is coming from the borders. And they said well, some of them seem to have come from the children's portion of the border, but for the most part, they're seeing a lot of them that are coming out of Mexico. So Mexico's doing it, and also we're for some reason letting some of these children go with men that um, they shouldn't be with. The other thing, up in New York, with all the immigrants we're sending up there, I think we've sent close to 4 grand, and these illegals are going door to door asking for food now. They're homeless. They don't know where to go. They're hungry. There's moms with babies that are knocking on doors for milk. Um, they said the only thing that they're given is a hotel room and pizza, and I think it's pizza and cereal, dry cereal. They're not even giving them milk for the cereal. So they're now starting. These illegal migrants are now starting to go door to door asking for food and blankets now that it's getting colder. So they didn't think about that. They thought they'd be. They didn't realize that this is some of the stuff that they're dealing with along the borders. So, oh boy, I could have a lot to say on that, but you got to feel sorry for some of these guys. I don't think they realized um, that they were going to be done this way. Um, I like this one. This story here is basically the last one for the night. Um, and I have to chuckle because California is so stupid sometimes. And what they want to do is get rid of single use plastic bags to protect and produce and meats from being damaged or contaminating other foods in a shopper's cart. So, um, uh, so Gavin Newsom signed a bill into law at the end of September, which will require grocery stores across the state to phase out small bags. Found around the produce aisle and meat. You know the stuff you put your produce in. They have the old plastic bags, and so you put like you get cucumbers and you put them in there and you twist them, and well, they want to do away with those. So tell me, what are they going to use? And see, some people do it with the meat too because they don't want the juice running out. And tell me how many times, if you don't have them, that somebody puts their hamburger on the little conveyor thing and there's just juice all over the place. But they want to do away with that in California. They said that it's causing harm to the ocean life. They won't even clean up the ocean. Contamination bags. Are they though, William? Are they really contaminating? I think that's kind of protecting from getting it all over your stuff in your cart. Sometimes you got to double bag them. I don't know. They're not talking about replacements yet, but they are going to ban those. So if you're in California and you no longer see these, you know why. Uh, I don't remember seeing them at our store, but um, no, I have because we just got through getting cucumbers. And I know they came in that bag. All right. They protect the food. That's right. I don't know. Maybe we might have to start getting Ziplocs and take them to the store with us. I don't know. They're just getting dumb. They didn't want paper bags and they don't want plastic bags and they want to use cloth bags and they don't want the meat bags and they're taxing them for this and charging people for this. They did that with the water. They said we couldn't serve water to patrons. I think that was early 90s when they started that. They said, "Oh no, you can't give out free water. California's going to want to run out of water, and we're saving our water." So where a waitress would bring you a glass of water, they no longer did it, probably in about 92. So California's weird. They got yuppies that think that, I don't know. We need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of them politicians, definitely. And there are some even GOP and Republicans and independents that feel the same way on this stuff. They're just, I don't know. California's weird. That's why I live in Arkansas now. All right, folks, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And I don't know, throw a few hearts up there. And share our videos and our shows. We're having a good time. We've changed a time zone. We're no longer in the mornings. And I think we're gonna fare well at this hour. I think it's a lot easier on all of us that help me with the show. Um, that early in the morning, it's just me, myself, and I, and it's really hard to get a lot of people to help me out. So in the afternoon and evenings, I've got it made. I can call people and get info very quickly. So subscribe, share, hit that bell, hit the like button, and over there on Investigator News Network, I'll be running this week to for you guys to know that we are back, and this is where we are at, and eventually we'll stop it to protect the news network and keep going on too. For those that know that I got strikes, one of the strikes have been dropped, so I'm down to one strike. Um, so, um, anyway, over in Facebook, hit the follow, hit the share, definitely share, and hit the like button so you get notified when our shows are on. And we will be back tomorrow afternoon, and it'll be me and William on the news show and giving you guys a World War III report. And of course, right before that is uh, the weather and lifestyle news. I couldn't no longer be the morning weather show, so this is our new name for it. And it'll be weather and lifestyle news. So that way everybody knows what they're getting when they watch it. All right. So you guys take care and be very careful with the earthquakes. around Southern California. You might have to go back and watch the show. I almost dumped my coffee. Uh, I use my hands. I'm gonna throw my coffee off the desk. Uh, be very careful with that. Keep your feet and keep a listen to what's going on. Maybe watch Dutch Sense. Maybe he'll give you a few ideas. So with that, we will see everyone tomorrow at this time. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, share the video. Just something you could even listen to on the way home live from work. We're right about getting off work time. So, with that, we will see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful day and evening, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye bye, and God bless.